Good Holy Mom, my name is Tanord Moranos, Criminology Intern 1, and today I will present to you the 50 questions with answers. So let's start. Number 1. The father of espionage was letter A. Genghis Khan, letter B. Alexander, letter C. Frederick the Great, or letter D. Akbar. So the answer here is letter C. Frederick the Great. Number 2. A mechanical device of supplying water which can be manual or motor driven. Letter A. Standpipe, letter B. Fire extinguisher, letter C. Fire hydrant, or letter D. Fire pump. So the answer here is letter A. Standpipe. Number 3. RA number 5487 governs the operations of letter A. Private detective, letter B. Company security, letter C. All of the above, letter D. Private security force agencies. So the answer here is letter C. All of the above. Number 4. The exterior and interior parallel area near to the perimeter barrier of an industrial compound to afford better observation and patrol movement is known as protective zone. Letter A, clear zone. Letter B, twilight zone. Letter C, patrol lane zone. Or letter D, zone defense. So the answer here is letter B, twilight zone. Number 5. The utilizations of elements and unit of the PNP for protections of lives and maintenance of peace and order. Letter A, assignment. Letter B, designation. Letter C, deployment. Or letter D, employment. So the answer here is letter D, employment. Number 6. It is the premier educational institution for police, fire, and jail personnel. Letter A, Philippine Military Academy. Letter B, Development Academy of the Philippines. Letter C, Philippines Public Safety College. Or letter D, Philippine College of Criminology. So the answer here is letter C, the Philippine Public Safety College. Number 7. A person who does detective work for hire, reward, or commission other than member of the BFP, BJMP, Provincial Guard, PNP, or any law enforcement agencies of the government. Letter A, secret agent. Letter B, undercover. Letter C, tic-tac. And letter D, private detective. So the answer here is letter D, private detective. Number 8, an authenticated list of personnel given to security allowing entry compound or installations or part thereof. Letter A, pass system. Letter B, ID. Letter C, jurors code. Or letter D, access list. So the answer here is letter D, access list. Number 9. Company-owned alarm system with unit in the nearest police station so that in case of need, direct call is possible. Letter A, auxiliary alarm. Letter B, central station system. Letter C, proprietary system. Or letter D, local alarm. So the answer here is letter A, auxiliary alarm. Number 10. It is a system of barriers placed between the matter protected and the potential intruder. Letter A, computer system. Letter B, personnel security. Letter C, document security. Or letter D, physical security. The answer here is letter D, physical security. Number 11. Graduate of Philippine National Police Academy or PNPA is automatically appointed to the rank of letter A, Senior Police Officer 1, letter B, Superintendent, letter C, Inspector, or letter D, Senior Superintendent. So the answer here is letter A, Senior Police Officer 1. Number 12. One of the following exercises control the supervision over the PNP units during elections. Letter A, Ombudsman. Letter B, NBI. Letter C, COMELEC. Or letter D, DILG. So the answer here is letter C, COMELEC. Number 13, the government agency that issues license for private and government and security guard is letter A, PNP, SOSYA, letter B, PNP, FEO, letter C, Mayor's Office, or letter D, PNP, SAGSD. So the answer here is letter D, PNP, SAGSD. Number 14 refers to administrative determination including that the individuals is eligible for access to classified matter. Letter A, classified. Letter B, disclassified. Letter C, security clearance. Or letter D, reclassified. So the answer here is letter C, security clearance. Number 15. This patrol method utilizes disguise, deception, and lying in wait rather than upon high visibility patrol techniques. Letter A, directed deterrent patrol. Letter B, high visibility patrol. Or letter C, low visibility patrol. And letter D is decoy patrol. So the answer here is letter C, low visibility patrol. Number 16. The associations of all licensed security agencies operators. Letter A, PAUPAD. Letter B, PPAP. Letter C, PDDC. And letter D, PADPAO. So the answer here is letter D, PADPAO. Number 17. A potential damage or loss of an asset. Letter A, adversary. Letter B, risk. Letter C, security hazard. Or letter D, criticality. So the answer here is letter B, risk. Number 18. Some of the instructions of foot surveillance are the following, except letter A, retrace step. Letter B, window shop. Letter C, drop paper, never mind what happened to the paper. And letter D, stop, quickly look behind. So the answer here is letter C, drop paper, never mind what happened to the paper. Number 19. Before private security agencies render security service to its client, there must be contract that must bind them. It is called letter A, contract service. Letter B, service contract. Letter C, security contract. Letter D, security service contract. So the answer here is letter D, security service contract. Number 20. The required rank for Chief of Jail Bureau. Letter A, Director. Letter B, Deputy Director General. Letter C, Director General. And D is Chief Superintendent. So the answer here is letter A, Director. Number 21 refers to the amount of loss of a target would likely to sustain through theft and robbery. Letter A, risk reduction. Letter B, probable maximum loss. Letter C, risk transfer. Letter D, possible maximum loss. So the answer here is letter B, probable maximum loss. Number 22. The act of expelling a squatter by a legal process is called letter A, eviction. Letter B, tear down. Letter C, squadron. Or letter D, demolition. So the answer here is letter A, eviction. Number 23. Who is the most important officer in a police organization? Letter A, Chief of the Police. Letter B, Traffic Enforcer. Letter C, Patrol Officer. Or letter D, Investigation. The answer here is letter C, Patrol Officer. Number 24. This term refers to the period when the police officer is actively engaged in the performance of his duty. Letter A, off duty. Letter B, off limits. Letter C, on duty. Or letter D, on call. So the answer here is letter C, on duty. 25. Issue by the security guard for the personnel to be admitted to the company. Letter A, ID. Letter B, Juris code. Letter C, pass system. Or letter D, access list. So the answer here is letter C, pass system. Pass system. Number 26. In disaster control operations, there is need to establish a blank where telephones or any means of communication shut. Letter A, field room. Letter B, operation center. Letter C, command post. Or letter D, open lines of communications. So the answer here is letter C, command post. 27. Without Air Force capability, patrol operation that covers large parks areas, grassy field, or wooded area requires the use of letter A, bike patrol. Letter B, horse patrol. Letter C, helicopter patrol. Or letter D, marine patrol. So the answer here is letter B, horse patrol. Number 28. If access is limited only to authorized personnel, this particular place is referred to letter A, exclusive area. Letter B, danger area. Letter C, restricted area. Or letter D, compromised area. The answer here is letter C, restricted area. 29. The head of local peace and order council is the blank. Letter A, judge. B, chief of police. C, mayor. Or D, governor. The answer here is letter C, mayor. Number 30. All regional appointment of commissioned officer commence with the rank of letter A, senior inspector. Letter B, police officer 3. C, inspector. And letter D is senior police officer 1. So the answer here is letter C, inspector. Number 31. A treason can be proven by judicial confession of the accused or testimony at least how many witnesses? Letter A, 1 witness. Letter B, 2 witness. Letter C, 3 witness. Or letter D, 4 witness. So the answer here is letter B, 2 witness. 32. An act of punish espionage and other offenses against national security. Letter A, CA number 916. Letter B, CA number 816. Letter C, CA number 716. Or letter D, CA number 616. The answer here is letter D, CA number 616. Number 33. Which of the following crimes do not admit to frustrated stage? Letter A, rape. B, bribery. C, adultery. D, all of the above. The answer here is letter D, all of the above. Number 34. Which of the following crimes will not extinguish the criminal liability of an offender even if pardoned by offended party? Letter A, adultery. Letter C, seduction. Letter C, homicide. And letter D, concubinage. So the answer here is letter C, homicide. 35. A person receive a news property from another knowing it was stolen. This is example of letter A, principal. Letter B, accomplice. Letter C, accessory. And letter D, none of this. So the answer here is letter C, accessory. 36. These felonies are committed by means of fault. Letter A, none of this. Letter B, unintentional felonies. Letter C, intentional felonies. Or letter D, culpable felonies. The answer here is letter D, culpable felonies. 37. Where a person commit felony before beginning to serve or while serving of previous conviction for a felony. Letter A, reiteration. Letter B, habitual delinquency. Letter C, recidivist. Or letter D, quasi-recidivism. So the answer here is letter D, quasi-recidivism. Number 38. A sworn written statement charging a person with an offense subscribed by the offended party any peace officer or other public official charged with the enforcement of law violated. Letter A, information. Letter B, complaint. Letter C, affidavit. D, memorandum. The answer here is letter B, complaint. 39. Under RPC, arresto minor is imposed for letter A, grave felonies. Letter B, less grave felonies. Letter C, affidavit. And letter D, light felonies. So the answer here is letter D, light felonies. Number 40. When the offender enjoys and delights in making his victim suffer slowly and gradually, causing him unnecessary physical pain in the consummations of criminal act. Letter A, treachery. Letter B, ignominy. Letter C, masochism. Or letter D, cruelty. The answer here is letter D, cruelty. 41. Those where the act committed is a crime but the reason of public policy and sentiment, there is no penalty imposed. Letter A, impossible crimes. Letter B, aggravating circumstances. Letter C, absolutory causes. Letter D, complex crimes. The answer here is letter C, absolutory causes. Number 42. The improper performance of some act which may lawfully be done. Letter A, misfeasance. Letter B, nonfeasance. Letter C, malfeasance. And letter D, dereliction. The answer here is letter C, malfeasance. 43. Any other name with which a person publicly applies to him without authority of law. Letter A, screen name. Letter B, fictitious name. Letter C, common name. And letter D, alias. So the answer here is letter B, fictitious name. Number 44. All person who can perceive and perceiving can make known to their perception to others. Letter A, suspect. Letter B, witnesses. Letter C, informers. Or letter D, victims. The answer here is letter B, witnesses. Number 45. Conspiracy to commit this felony is punishable under the law. Letter A, estafa. Letter B, murder. Letter C, rebellion. Or letter D, rape. So the answer here is letter C, rebellion. The willful and corrupt assertion of a falsehood under oath of affirmation administered by authority of law on a material matter. Letter A, slander. Letter B, libel. Letter C, perjury. Or letter D, falsification. So the answer is letter C, perjury. Number 47. The age of absolute irresponsibility of commission of a crime. Letter A, between 9 and 15 years old. Letter B, 9 years old and below. Letter C, 18 to 70 years old. Or letter D, 15 to 18 years old. The answer here is letter B, 9 years old and below. Number 48. Jacob and Bea have been married for more than 6 months. They live together with the children of Bea from his first husband. Jacob had sexual relation with Amy, 14 years old daughter of Bea. Amy loves Jacob very much. What was the crime committed by Jacob? Letter A, rape. Letter B, qualified seduction. Letter C, simple seduction. Or letter D, consented abduction. The answer here is letter B, qualified seduction. 49. The quality by which an act may be subscribed to the person as its owner or author. Letter A, imputability. Letter B, guilt. Letter C, duty. Or letter D, responsibility. So the answer here is letter A, imputability. So last number 50. A stage of execution when all the elements necessary for its execution and accomplishment were present. Letter A, accomplished. Letter B, consummated. Letter C, frustrated. Or letter D, attempted. The answer here is letter B, consummated. So that's all, ma'am. Marami pong salamat. Thank you po and good holy.